All right, what's up, everyone? I got a bike in for review. This is a bike that I was excited to check out, and I asked the company if they would send me one to review. So they sent me the full bike, which is pretty amazing. I actually had all the parts to build it up. So I was just asking for a frame set, but I realized that that's kind of unusual for a company to send a frame set and rely on the reviewer to build it up. But so yeah, so they send the full build and it's with GRX. I don't really like GRX, so I might still update it with the stuff I like and ride it that way. And then when I give it back to them, put the GRX back on it. But I don't know. We're gonna try it. We're not gonna be too negative. We're gonna try the GRX and keep an open mind. Um, Hopefully it's okay. I think it will be. This is really just a review of the frame. I don't really care about the other shit. So yeah.
All right, here is the Otso Workin. Thank you, Otso, for lending us this bike. I'm gonna ride this bike for a few months, and I'm probably gonna make a couple videos about it and just give overall impression. I'm really most interested in the frame set. It's a steel frame with a carbon fork. Otso is Wolftooth's sibling company, along with Lithic, who makes the fork. That's also a sibling company of Otso and Wolftooth. So I've always liked Wolftooth. I have their chain rings on probably more than half my bikes. So I was really excited to try this Otso. I had heard of the brand before, but didn't really think about them while I was in kind of like Rivendell and Crust World for the past couple of years, and I want to kind of start reviewing bikes, and I thought this would be a good one to start with because it just looks really cool and it looks like something that Calling in Sick fans would be interested in. It's got that lithic carbon fork is really nice. It's tapered, so it's got an oversized 44 millimeter head tube, which I think looks visually nice because it's sort of the width of both items sort of matches there. The paint color is really what drew my eye to this bike. I love green, and I love a deep bluish green, and that's exactly what this is. It's a really hard color to convey through a screen. I think it looks good on screen, but it looks even better in person. There's the Wolftooth headset. I really like Wolftooth stuff. I've had their headset, I've had their seat clamp, I've had their chain rings, I've had their kind of like shift adapter thingies and stuff like that. So everything they make is really good. I just wanted to try their frame. There's a head badge. It's a little cartoonish, a little bit funky. I like it though. It's kind of folksy or something. And I'm into it. Uh, just showing a few of the frame details here while the bike is still clean. The welds look really good. I'm pretty sure this is made overseas in Taiwan. The bike that I'm sort of, that I have in mind that I'm comparing with this one is the Bombora, because I have a Bombora, and it just seems kind of like overall like a similar package, like a steel framed, although mine has a steel fork too. Disc kind of adventure gravel, maybe slightly trending towards touring or light touring. And that's a bike that I ride a lot, and so I'm curious to see how this one sort of compares. I think there will be a lot of similarities, but I'm excited for the differences just because I think that's a little more interesting. This paint detail they did on the seat stays, I initially thought, wow, that looks terrible. Like if I'm just being perfectly honest. But I don't know, it's kind of growing on me. I think it's a little bit weird that that's like the only like paint flourish. Like I think the color is so nice. The base frame color is so nice that they should have just let it stand for itself and not try to get fancy with those stripes. I'm kind of just like, it just kind of plays into the folksiness of the frame, like I mentioned. Um, it's a little bit like it makes look a little bit like a cheaper bike, like a Public or something like that. Um, I still don't fully understand it, and that's honestly that's so far that's the lowest point of the bike for me. I think if I get one of these, like if I buy my own, I might put like a sticker over that. Oh, and then this is the tuning chip. So this bit allows you to adjust the chainstay length. I think kind of slightly maybe tweaks the angles of the frame. I think there's two positions. You can put it in the rearward position where it is right here, or you can put it in the forward position. And by it, I mean the axle, basically bringing the wheel kind of closer into the bottom bracket, or not. This is a feature that I think is coming on a lot of newer bikes, and I just in general don't love these just because there's a lot more moving parts, more parts to fail or creak. If you recall a video with Adam Sklar, we were talking about his sliding dropout, and he was like, yeah, unfortunate side effect of this is it's a potential to creak. And so I think it's safe to say that something like this is a potential to creak, although Wolftooth does their research and they have a lot of good stuff, so I'm not really worried about it. It's just more of a long-term comment and a maintenance comment. There it is from the other side. You can see that because the axle can slide forward and rearward, you have to have a provision to move the brake because the rotor's also moving with it. So you can see that slot there. The brake can kind of slot forward and backward. Another sort of like complication to the frame, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to note if you're considering getting one of these things. And they have the interesting little detail, I think, or it must be cast into that rear dropout. I think this looks a lot better than a sliding dropout, because a sliding dropout a lot of the times just has like an extra hunk of metal that's not even really part of the frame, whereas this is captured within the frame, and I think it makes it look a little bit better. Get carried away. I think that's a little hokey. It's a little bit bland. The Bombora, on the other hand, says, where did all the mermaids go? Which is really corny also. So maybe just, I don't know, to these brands, like, just don't put text on the frames. Like, it's good enough with the paint. Another thing that's important about this frame is that it's actually suspension corrected for a gravel suspension fork. And you'll see that big gap between the top of the tire and the underside of the fork crown, and the fact that that fork crown is really beefy. There's still like a 2-finger gap there. Those are 45 millimeter tires, 700 by 45. I ended up swapping my wheels in, which have 50s, so the gap's going to get a little smaller, but that's what suspension correction looks like. Basically, you're just like adding a place for the suspension to do its work. Showing a few more frame details here. I think I wanted to show that they put a Wolftooth chainring on the GRX crank, which is cool. Those are the fork mounts. I was trying to figure out how to take those covers off, and I couldn't. I'm pretty sure you need like a little pick tool or maybe a screwdriver or something to get them off, and then obviously they're threaded on the inside, and you can mount like a triple bottle cage for some extra cargo. I'm not really a triple bottle cage guy. I just typically use like King Iris cages. I noticed that the down tube is slightly smooshed at the bottom bracket, meaning it gets kind of tapers in and gets wider in one plane and narrower in another, and that's for like stiffness and rigidity. Another big difference between this bike and the Bombora is that the tubing is bigger in diameter, particularly the down tube on this bike. I think this is either 31.8 or 34.9 millimeter diameter down tube. And I'm pretty sure the Bombora is like, it's not 25.4, maybe it's 28.6 millimeters, so it's quite a bit smaller. And that really affects the ride quality, in my opinion. The Bombora has a bit of give to the bottom bracket. And this bike does not have that same give. They're both steel, they're both TIG welded, they're both made overseas, so they have a lot of similarities, but I think the tubing choices are going to be the big difference between these bikes. There's a Wolftooth headset. I really like Wolftooth headset. Does the trick. It's machined in the US, which is pretty neat. It's a bit cheaper than some of the other brands like White Industries and Chris King. I rode the bike a little bit. I just cruised around the block just to get a really initial sense of what it feels like. The build they provided has GRX. I don't like GRX. I think I've said that in other videos. It's just kind of dorky to me. It's kind of like overly engineered and like trying to be too like ergonomic and comfortable and optimized, and it's just a little bit annoying. It's not my style. Um, but it works. I mean, it works really great. The shifting's good. The braking's even better. So it's hard to complain. I wanted to get a shot of what the fork looks like when you're riding the bike. I don't think this shot is really successful because basically the fork feels really like big and beefy, and some people are sensitive to the way that like big carbon stuff looks. So that's kind of why I wanted to get that shot. More testing there, and then I ended up swapping in my wheels and my seat post and saddle, and obviously my pedals and my bottle cages, and then I threw on some Tunitas bags from my friend who does Tunitas Creative, just to kind of personalize the bike and make it feel more like my own while I borrow it for the next few months and do my review. So that's kind of what it ends up looking like. I'm gonna take this bike to Santa Barbara all next week, and really like try to put it through the ringer there and do some big rides with my friend, maybe friends that live there. Um, the paint is really hard to convey through the screen. I think it's beautiful. It's the best part. Did I mention that I asked Otso for the green in particular, and thankfully they obliged and sent me the green one. I really wanted to see the green. They have other colors too that are cool. Like there's an orange one that's cool, and then a blue one that's cool. Although I think blue is typically my last choice in bike color. Um, I think that adding a few anno bits makes any bike pop, but it really did so with this bike. I think it looks quite a bit like more high end with like the blue hubs and the purple pedals, and even the kind of like WTB camo saddle. I think it really starts to look more personalized and interesting when you do that. This bag, this is a bag designed by Tunitas, but we did a collabo where I designed the colors, and that was a Colin and Sick exclusive product. Shout out Vigo Bears. They gave me a ton of these things, so I've been trying to share them and eat them without getting sick every day. They're delicious, so if you want some, shoot me a DM on Instagram. More bike shot here. Um, it's a really nice looking bike, just generally speaking, and it rides well too. I've only done a few. I only have like maybe like 8 miles on the bike. Um, I took it into Golden Gate Park and rode some of the trails. I'm gonna do this again today, just to get more of a sense of the bike. It really comes alive off road. It feels a little bit kind of like mopey on the road, which is what I'd expect for a bike like this, and kind of how the Bombora feels. Um, it really feels good off road so far. I mean, I've maybe done like 1 mile of trails, which is nothing, but I can already tell, and I've tried a lot of bikes, and I can tell pretty quick off the bat. So I'm excited to take this to Santa Barbara. We're gonna do kind of like the first part of the review official will be in probably a month when issue 13 of Calling in Sick Mag comes out, and for that issue, we're gonna do like a full blown written review too. So this has been a first look of the Otso Warrican Steel. This is a size 56. I'm 5'9", and I'm right smack dab in the middle of who should fit the 56, and so far it feels great, although I might lower the handlebars a little bit. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more on the Otso Warrican Steel. All right, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.